The movie Pearl Harbor tells the story of two friends who become World War II fighter pilots. And one of the two, Rafe McCauley, actually enters the war before America does. He volunteers to help the Royal Air Force protect Great Britain from German bombing. It's an extremely dangerous assignment, but he insists on going. When Rafe first arrives at the airfield in England, he's greeted by the commander of the British squadron. The commander says to Rafe, "Are all Yanks as anxious as you to get themselves killed?" And Rafe replies, "I'm not anxious to die, sir. I'm anxious to matter." I've never been able to get that line out of my mind because I want my life to matter. I want to help change the world. I want to be able to look back on my life and see that God used me in some significant way. If that's what you want, you couldn't have picked a better portion of Scripture to study than the Sermon on the Mount. Because Jesus spoke the words that are recorded in Matthew 5 through 7 to turn ordinary people into world changers. That was the methodology of his revolution. It was to change the world, one transformed life at a time.
The grand story of the Bible includes four major parts: creation, fall or sin, rescue, and consummation. And in the central section, the rescue section, Jesus, of course, is the hero, and a summary of his teaching about what life with God is like is the Sermon on the Mount. So in many ways, the sermon is at the very heart of the grand story.
Matthew's been developing his theme of kingdom in Matthew 1 through 4. And now in Matthew 5 through 7, we begin to see how kingdom life plays out. In other words, the Sermon on the Mount talks about righteousness and the terms of living in this kingdom.
But if we leave the sermon thinking we've got nothing but a list of do's and don'ts, we're missing the main point. We need to know the King and what his kingdom looks like and go to him with poverty of spirit to be enabled to live as God's people are intended.
And the very first words that come out of Jesus' mouth at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount describe the kind of people who change the world.